when I was graduating Howard, there was a thought that literally came into my head. And that thought was, you should work at Johns Hopkins. And so what I did was I set up a plan that I was going to move to Baltimore. I was living in the DC area. And living in Baltimore at the time, the rents were cheaper than they were in DC. And I was just thrilled to have my own apartment with no roommates. It's like about 22 years old here. And so I thought to myself, well, I could move to Baltimore, try to get a position at Hopkins, and then I can have my own apartment. I mean, I was really that thoughtful about it. And so it wasn't that easy to get into Johns Hopkins. It's a very large institution. And sometimes in large institutions, at least in my experiences, when they're familiar with you, it's sort of easier to get in there. So I had a plan. I became a temp. And during my time temping with it, I happened to temp with some of the best minds in medicine and public health, and ended up working ultimately at Johns Hopkins for 11 years of my career. So that was so I graduated Howard and I worked at Hopkins because that was my plan, to work at or learn at an institution that's one of the best health and public health medicine and public health institutions in the world. And so I sought out big time. As I always say, go big or go home. So I went big and I temped and ended up sort of networking and building relationships with the faculty there. And ultimately I was hired for a full-time position, and I grew quite a bit at my time there, working in chronic diseases and health disparities and patient-physician communication, working in chronic kidney disease and end-stage renal disease, working in HIV prevention and microbicide development. And then I had one of my final stints there was working in global health policy, where I traveled quite a bit internationally. So as you can see, I gained a significant amount of skills there. And I also, and I think this is I think one of the great things about working at an academic institution, if you, as a staff member, I'd say, is that I also took advantage of the opportunities that they provided, right? So you get, tuition remission and all those types of things. So I amassed other types of, I took different courses and, really wanted to build my skill set as best as I could.